Moshpit Passion, for the passion of music.
And my first question is, what happened between your new record and your last record? Because there's a big time gap between that. What happened there with the band, and how would you describe the, let me say, status of the band? Was it hiatus? Was it a breakup?
Yeah, at the time, the lineup had two members from another band called Odden and Apollyon was the bass player, singer, and he got really busy with other things, and I was kind of, I don't know, tired of trying to do this without getting everybody on board all the time. So I said, okay, that's it. I'm not going to have this band anymore. So I went on to do some electronic music.
Mm-hmm.
Then because of that, I was seen on stage by Tom G. Warrior from Celtic Frost. So he called me out of the blue to ask me to join Celtic Frost. So I did that for like a year. Then when that whole thing ended, I started a new band with Hag from Hell, from Turbo Negro, and Tim Skold from Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
So I had this going for a little while until everybody also there got busy with other things. So I was like, okay, what should I do now? And then Satyricon called me. And then I basically joined them for a temporary basis, 2009. And that extended until pretty much now. I mean, we haven't done anything with Satyricon for a whole year due to COVID and everything, but that gig is actually I was playing all the guitars. I mean, not all the guitars, all the rhythm guitars and the bass on the last Satyricon record in 2017. So during the time with Satyricon, I met Dirk Verbeuren because he was sitting in for Frost on this cruise ship festival called 10,000 Tons of Metal, which is in America, but the whole cruise ship is full of Germans, more than
yeah.
Norwegians, Europeans. So I met him, and he was telling me how big a Cadaver fan he was, and then I was basically I'm probably answering another question now too, but how I met him. But anyway, that's pretty much describing it. But we were on this boat. So I realized he was a huge fan, like a real fan. He knew all the old songs, and he was really inspired by what I was doing when I was a kid. So I realized I could send him demos. At the time, I had a lot of demos of new material, which I didn't really find the place for. So that turned into a realization that I could do Cadaver again. That's already 6 years ago. So, it's time flies. But basically, he got the gig with Megadeth as we were starting to make songs. So, and we both realized the songs were too good to not do anything with. And for the both of us, this is our thing, where we are the bosses. And it's an equal partnership. I'm basically writing all the riffs and lyrics, but he's actually contributing now on what will be a next record with some stuff too, which is really cool. So we are just being creative and finding, a common ground with Cadaver. So that's why we started the Cadaver again. And Cadaver, it's a cult band, and it's different kind of band. It's always been a little on the side. So I want to keep that part. And during COVID, actually, the old bass player from Cadaver, the guy who's playing double bass on In Pains, he has actually started to jam with us. So he's gonna, if COVID doesn't stop everything in Oslo now, because it's a new lockdown, but in December we're supposed to do a gig with 200 people sitting down. So we'll see how that goes. But It's been a very interesting year, so to speak. So it's time to just get everybody on board and do music, basically.
Yeah, you answered a lot of questions.
I'm
Dirty. Your big answer is no, you are done, more or less. But what I want to know is, when you got in contact with Dirk and you started the songwriting, how would you describe that if you compare it with your beginnings of the band?
Well, obviously, he's living in America, so songwriting in the beginning was me sending riffs, and he would drum on his. He has a studio in his house, so he can record drums and send it back. And we're doing that for a year and a half until we met again in person and jammed together and recorded demos. So we've been on and off, remotely, sending things back and forward, and being together in the same room. Of course, that's the best thing. If I was living in the same place that he was living, we would probably have 6 new records by now, because it's really easy to work with him.
And how did you react when you started to rebuild CADAVER, and then it was like, hey, I got the gig with Megadeth. Sorry, I have more or less to leave the space for rehearsals, for touring, for writing record. Was it for you no problem? Because you mentioned that you also played in different bands, that you say, hey, okay, no problem. We do it when we have spare time for that.
Yeah, basically that's how it was, because I was busy with Satyricon in the kind of same way as he was with Megadeth. But we kind of planned it so it would time. There's always time in all bands, big or small, that it's the end of the circle, or people want to have some time off and do other things and whatever. And we were using those spaces to work on our stuff. But now, when everything is changed in the whole world, I think every band that ever was start to come together and do different projects, vice versa. It's just a very creative time in studios right now, and it's really interesting to see how many collaborations there is. So that's because things are like they are. But for me, the whole thing with CADAVER is I don't have what should I say? I don't need to stress with it. I want to have this as my pure musical outlet, where I really feel that we can take our time and do things right. That's much more much better to do it like that. It's in the beginning, in a long time ago, like a whole life ago, we were just kids, and we wanted everything to happen at the same day, all the time. But now when you're a little bit older, you just want things to be better, I guess. Take the time it takes.
Definitely, because over the years, you gained, I guess, also a lot of popularity, and also the last decade was more or less, how do you say, a rebuilding. What can I say? Rebuilding. Let me say, a lot of young bands came up, and they played also the style which you played 25 years ago, 30 years ago, and that helps also your popularity, because the bands and the fans say, hey, we want the original, we don't want to listen always to the new stuff, we want the original stuff. And also this helps the popularity for the band. And would you also say this helped you to get the gig with Nuclear Blast? Because Nuclear Blast, for those who don't know, they got a big popularity in the 90s for death metal bands and black metal bands, and now they are one of the biggest, or at least the biggest, metal independent label in the world, and you are also one band in their rooster.
Of course. I mean, we are part of what they call the legacy rooster, all bands that are still doing new stuff. And I think, when you have been around for a long time, you learn how to do things, I wouldn't say better, but at least, I know what I'm doing, which is original from my end. So I can, focus on just trying to make music which is interesting from my perspective. And I'm not worried about such things as how can I, capitalize, or how can things become more popular or stuff like this. That's not how I make music. I just make. I think it's really, really cool to groove to, and if that holds up for a certain amount of people, of course, having a distribution system that Nuclear Blast has will expose it to as many metal fans as possible. So that's a good way to reach basically all the people we can reach with our thing.
You said something interesting, that you are one of the legacy bands in their roots. Of course, it fits. And when I listened to your record, I was like, hold a minute, because there are two different singers on there. And of course, for the Massacre and Possessed fans, they knew, of course, Jeff and Cam Lee. It's also interesting because it fits to your music. But how did this work out, this kind of cooperation? I mean, did you text them and say, hey, we are back, maybe you have, well, at least are interested to do a feature part?
Yeah, that it's two different stories, because at the time I was starting to work on my new metal material to form what became the third version of Cadaver. I was not sure if I was going to do all the vocals myself. I was just playing around with, different ideas. So I sent some demos around to the people I knew, which is famous singers from different metal bands.
Yeah.
See if they wanted to do guest vocals. And Cam Lee is the one guy that I actually never met, but I've been in touch with him ever since the MySpace era, before Facebook. So he reached out, and we became like online friends, and he just said, like, if there's anything at some point, don't be afraid to call me up. So he was on my list, so to speak. So when we did this song, Feed the Pigs, we thought, both me and Derek, that because of the verses sound like the old school Massacre and Death ish type of thing. So it just felt like this could work for him. And it did really work for him. I wrote the chorus and he wrote the rest of the song. So that was an interesting collaboration, and a true like merger of different styles of death metal. The thing with Possessed is that Possessed was one of my favorite bands from when I started to listen to extreme metal. When I was 13 years old, I heard Possessed for the first time, and I was like I was really blown away. I heard the song Pentagram. And at that time, there was no vocals like this. Nothing. The most extreme thing was stuff like
Venom,
or Venom, but people had like really extreme vocals at the time, like Creator and the thrash metal from US, like Exodus and Slayer and Metallica, Megadeth and Anthrax, all had kind of punky singers. Because they all come from, basically, thrash metal is punk meets heavy metal, so they are much more true to that thing. So he kind of went more extreme, and he had that before anyone else. I don't think anyone was like this. Maybe a little bit Tom G. Warrior, But anyway, he was one of my inspirations when I was planning to do my own vocals, because when I was a kid I did vocals, and then I always ended up in bands with other singers. But this time I thought, like, I will not repeat the mistake of having a singer who's living in the band. So I'll better do it myself. And then when I was recording this album in America in the beginning of 2019, staying in Derek Verburen's and his wife Hannah, their house, and they have a garage which is built like a photo studio, because Hannah is a photographer, and I was basically staying in that room, so during the day or night when she was working, we were in the studio, so I was just like, have like a bed to the side. Anyway, that one of the nights, Possessed was one of the clients, so they were basically doing a photo shoot in my bedroom. So we came home when they were done, and we just met in the house, and I told Jeff that I was a huge fan, and would be honored if he wanted to do something on the record. And I had this one idea that he would say, set you free, that would work in this lyrics I had. And he just recorded straight into my phone, so I could check it out. And I was thinking I should do it again, just like have an idea, and then he will record it again. But the take just worked with timing and everything. That was just like a match. So when we did the video in 2019, he was so eager to be in a part of the video, so he recorded his part of the video on his phone, and we mixed it into the video. The whole recording with him is both visually and audio on phones.
It's good to hear, because I met Jeff last year for an interview. It was on a big festival here in my area, and what I like about Jeff is he is not only the singer of a band, he's also a fan. And I mean, he was watching the whole, let me say, half of the day of the festival, and later he was also on the stage, and one of the kindest persons I've ever met, and I think also very professional, what you said, and also very, very kind that you stayed at his house, etc. So it's good to hear that from people. And another person which I also very appreciate is Tom Warrior. You also told preview before, and I want to ask, because Tom Warrior is a very special person when it comes to his view of humanity, and also his view of writing music, because I think Celtic Frost, or at least Hellhammer, what he did, there was always a special evil atmosphere what he created. And when you worked with him, would you say this also influenced you, or at least your view when it comes to songwriting or creating lyrics for the new record?
He's definitely one of my biggest inspirations. I'm very fortunate to know him really well, because we worked together for almost a year. And he's very well read. He knows a lot about all the stuff he's writing about. He's really like a total intellectual in all aspects of the word. So I have nothing but admiration and respect for Tom. And his guitar style is also very influential on me. And when I got to know him and play together with him, I could tell that basically my extreme metal style on guitar is based on two things. It's him and it's Mayhem.
Wow.
And Euronymous from Mayhem showed me everything when I was a kid, and he was inspired by Hellhammer and Celtic Frost as well, So he used the same amplifier, same distortion pedal, and same settings on the guitar. So when I met Tom and jammed with him, basically my sound was Celtic Frost, the same as Mayhem. So that's the origins for me, that's where it all comes from. So it's very, very naturally for me to be in that way. So I always have some twists and turns, which I kind of know is a little bit from Celtic Frost and that thing they did, which I just think is cool, because it's such an important band for inspiration, and everybody in metal and beyond is really inspired by them. One of the greatest things about being with Celtic Frost that summer of 2006 was that whenever we played a festival, all the other bands would watch the show. So, I was standing there playing, and Ministry and Sepultura and all these people are sitting on the side watching. I'm like, what the fuck, this is insane. So that was like a huge shock almost for me to just play all those songs and be seen by all my heroes, basically. So I learned a lot from that experience, and hopefully take good things with me.
I want to talk a bit about something different, because when it comes to music, there's also another, let me say, layer very important. It's a visual aspect. And for instance, you released a couple of music videos, and one of the, I guess, sickest video of the year, I would say, it's a Morg ritual. And I want to ask, who directed that thing?
Well, basically, when I was in when we were recording the album and this possessed photo shoot, that one had a special effects woman named Missy, and she had some ideas on the fly for a photo shoot for us, and we just said, "Oh, that sounds interesting." She had like. Among the things she had was the remains of a dead cow, which fits cadaver, you know. So, and she had all these other ideas, and we just went with the flow and did all those photos. And suddenly I had like a vision for the visuals, and he is a part of a satanic ritual group in Los Angeles, like Mexican Americans, and some of her stuff and all the things she have online, and I just asked her, do you want to make a video with a ritual for this song called Morg Ritual, that I would only include the ritual and you guys, and it was my idea for to have them to do it, but they did everything to make it like it is. So when they finally did it, I think it was shot early this summer. It just came back, and I was like, wow, this is even better than I thought, you know. So I was really pleased, and I wanted this to be the first single and the first video, because if you only have videos with the band performing, I think that's boring. I think videos can be more interesting, and I find inspirations to videos from other genres, and it's mind-blowing to me that not more metal bands understand that this is an art form itself, you know. There's obviously some people who understand it, but just having like your band standing and playing on the video just takes away everything that you could do, which is basically to portray the feeling of the song or the lyrics of the song or just something else, which is much more aligned with what I'm trying to do. I'm not so into the, you know, the musical part in videos is supposed to be the soundtrack to the visuals. Not showing like that you can play fast on your guitar or, you know, technical things and stuff like this. So I'm always trying to do something else. So every video will be very different from the last one. It's not going to repeat.
It's something very interesting what you say about when it comes to it's an art platform. And I did an interview with a artist a couple of weeks ago, and he said the same when it comes to, hey, I have a record here, I want to apply to a record label, and he was shooting different video clips which are fitting to the sound to get me atmosphere. And I personally think your first music video, also the Morg Ritual video, is the blueprint of that, also the title track and also the visual appearance and the band sound and also appearance in one video. It's heavy, it's evil. You see a ritual, you see a very, how can I say, scary video. So it fits. It's very, very, like I said, it's a blueprint for that. And yeah, you did a couple of more videos, like the performance video. And what I also want to ask is about the song Reborn, because the drumming for that, it's very, very heavy. And I mean, how many, let me say, instruments, or no, it's not the right word, or not material, I want to say, that was broken down. I don't know how to say it in English, because
what is it?
Equipment. Yeah, the equipment. How many equipments did Dirk destroy? Because his drumming is like a
yeah, no, that's his. I think that's his signature invention, or it's called the Dirk Blast. So I know that I know other drummers who's doing that, but he just has it like a signature thing. So for him, it's super easy to do. Just looks like he's doing this. Like it's like almost like looks like he's a juggler.
Yeah.
He has like this circle of movement. So it's really intense, and his setup for the drums are the same all the way. He doesn't do anything special for that. It's just something he came up with, which is really, really cool. And I love when he does that, and he's doing it in several songs. And whenever that comes in, it's really easy to make evil riffs too, because it has this triplet thing, and the triplets are linked to folk music, and the folk music is the basis for anything which is important. So I think people should pay more attention to stuff like that, because it's what really makes it different and stand out.
Definitely. And the song Reborn is a perfect example for that. I was listening to it and was like, whoa, what's this? It's a machine gun or something like that. No, it was the heavy drumming of Dirk, of course. And yeah, see, our time is running out. There's 2 questions left. One question is a fan question, because a lot of people requested that you may re-release some of your older stuff, or maybe the new record with a signed vinyl or CD option. Is there something planned like that?
Well, it's 2 answers to the question. The last album, Necrosis, will be reissued easy because we own the rights, and it's I have a different mastering. Actually, I do have not really alternative mix, but a little bit, so I can go in and remaster it. And we have something really, really cool for old school people, because you may have heard of Slayer magazine, which is the 80s magazine from Norway that was very important for the underground. The guy who did the Slayer magazine made a full booklet for a vinyl for this. So there's in existence like a magazine, like a fanzine version of the lyrics and stuff made like a Slayer magazine. So we could release a vinyl, which it's never done before, with the Slayer magazine inside, which I think is really cool. So I'm looking into do this, and I have several different versions of the 2 first albums. There's a big recording, which is a different version of the whole second album.
Yeah.
I'm actually supposed to go through some of this stuff this week, but there's this situation right now makes it easier to spend time doing archive stuff. But the 2 first records is sitting in the ownership of a copyright infringement with Earache Records. So as long as they don't do anything, there won't be any real reissuing. But I think if we get successful with the relaunch of the band and everything now, and they see that they can make some money, they will probably do something. But that's probably the only reason why. So it's fucked up. What I want to do is just limited edition special versions, but we'll see.
Okay. So, and my last question is, because our magazine is called Moshpit Passion, do we have maybe an interesting, silly, or funny Moshpit experience which you can share us?
What? Can you say that again?
Our magazine is called Moshpit Passion, and I want to ask you if you can tell us a Moshpit experience from your youth, from a band perspective, which is crazy, funny, silly, something like that.
Oh yeah, I've seen some crazy mosh pits in my life, for sure. The most crazy mosh pits I've seen was probably in Mexico in May 2019, playing with Satyricon on this enormous festival. It's probably as big as Wacken, or maybe bigger. And there was, from the stage, we could see mosh pits, maybe 10 mosh pits, like around in the crowd, because the crowd was maybe 30,000 people.
Yeah.
So you could just see, like, far away and everywhere, not just in the front. So that's probably the wildest, because people just mosh where they are, not just in the front. So I've seen, it looks like there's there's like a tornado going around in the crowd. So it looks kind of crazy. Everybody's standing there, and somewhere there's like people circling. So it looks like there's a tornado that will suck people up and like fly away, but they stay on the ground.
Oh man, that's a cool story. Looked like a little, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you very much for your time. For you guys out there, the new record is coming out by end of November on Nuclear Blast. You can see in our description every kind of stuff like links or video clips from the band. Thank you very much for watching. Also, again, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Wish you everything good with the new record, and yeah, hopefully we will see us in summer or at least at fall, winter next year when the pandemic is over.
Yeah, we plan to go out and play live, so whenever we can do that, we will see people out. That would be nice. And on the way there, we will probably most likely record another album. So we're just on fire.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Oh, guys, you heard it. All right. See you next time. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.